Okay, so first of all, I'd just like to talk about some sort of common myths or some commonalities between Waterfall and Agile. So the first thing to say is that whatever delivery methodology mechanism you're using, there are always common themes. So for example, there's always a need to talk about scope and requirements. That's about what we want to do, how we're going to do it. There's a design, which is the blueprint, the instructions for what we want to produce as a set of products. You then get into the build stage where you talk about building those viable products. Obviously you need to test them, you test they work independently, they work together, and then you get into the handover stage. So you talk about how you're going to deliver those products post-test into an environment or state where the end users can then consume them. The other common thing is that no matter how you're delivering or what you're doing, you always have people involved. And people in various guises, senior stakeholders, designers, builders, but some people there to help, some people there to not be so helpful, some are interested, some aren't interested, and it's all about how you interact with those people. So that's the first thing, is that Waterfall Agile do have commonality. Interesting thing about Waterfall is it's not necessarily waterfall. So although in your mind you might think about steps which lead one after the other in a serial fashion, unless you're delivering sort of widgets on a car production line, actually personally I've never delivered any program or project that didn't have a certain amount of parallel working between tasks in a waterfall situation. So actually waterfall you can still deliver in a reasonably good time frame, even though you are, sort of technically in a waterfall state. On the other hand, with Agile doesn't necessarily mean quick. Depending on the strength of a product owner and the minimum viable product and what you're trying to achieve, the number of defects you find, actually Agile can be a little bit slower, and it's not always possible to know when the end date is as well, which actually causes some problems in itself. So that's just a few sort of common things and sort of myths to dispel there with those two methodologies. So Agile turns Waterfall on its head. So Agile is about saying, why bother trying to seek perfection up front in a delivery cycle, because we're not going to find perfection and accept that things are going to change. So instead in Agile we have this concept of enough design up front. That's about doing enough design to say, right, we're happy to move into a build now, and we don't have to gold plate, and then when we move into the build we can then do quick and sort of rapid sprints, if you want to call them that, build and test cycles, iterative cycles, several, and then what we do is we build up a product as we're going along. And what that does is allow us to tweak the design as we're going. It also means we perhaps can tweak the scope if necessary, and stakeholders may actually want to change the way in which the whole product is going to be delivered. And taking this approach, as I said, means that we aren't gold plating at the start. It means we're finding problems quickly. So we have this concept of fail fast. So we find problems quickly, we fix them quickly, and then we can sort of see where we are, make those changes before we get later on into the latter stage of the delivery and find problems there. And delivering in this way drives some really good positive behaviours for team members and for the wider businesses as well. So for example, the delivery lead, the person running it, the program manager, the scrum master, whatever you wish to call them, they have to feel that they can empower people, they can delegate. So their mindset changes, they have to let go. They have to accept that people need to have the freedom to find those problems and to find their way through as a team together. For the team themselves, they'll feel great, they'll feel empowered, they'll feel motivated, and they'll feel like, yes, we're getting things done, we're getting things fixed, we're moving towards that end goal. And then wider outside of the team, and one really important part of Agile to make all of this work well is having the support of that management structure. So again, it's a learning journey for senior managers in an organisation. They have to accept that in this mode where we're going through build and test cycles in rapid succession, we can't always know what this end date's going to be. We know where we are, but we don't always know where we're going to necessarily. So they've got to also kind of let go a little bit, empower those colleagues in the organisation, and spread the word. I mean, very much with Agile, it's about being very positive. So there's no room for naysayers, there's no room for negativity. It's about one team, and it's not about saying, I do this role, you do that role. Everyone mucks in and we get it done, and you build up that great team ethic, which then spreads in the organisation in a very positive, infectious way. And that's how we build the message of cultural change using Agile rather than Waterfall. So, in summary, we've talked about what Agile brings that Waterfall doesn't. Again, it's very much about that positive cultural change. Things to watch out for, yeah, you've got to be willing to be able to let go, to delegate, to understand that people are out of their comfort zone, that they're going to feel apprehensive about, you know, what this means to them. So you've got to bring them along on that journey and remain positive. Positivity is a really key thing. And that positivity then spreads outside of the project to senior management. So senior management also have to be very positive about the messaging. They have to accept that people are going to be allowed to make mistakes, that people don't always know the answers. Let them just get on with their jobs, let them be successful. And so in terms of the future, well, my belief is that actually, you know, whatever you call it, Agile, Waterfall, there's always going to be something else along the line. Someone's going to come up with something different and it's going to be called something else, but you're still going to see in this world we live in now these really positive aspects of